and get the ball rolling. So give me just a minute here to hit record and we'll save this for posterity. Welcome to SOAL Night Live number 10. Our guest tonight is actor and musician Robbie Rist. You may remember him from 70s TV shows like The Brady Bunch, or maybe guest star spots on, shows like The Bionic Woman.
Or the voice of Michelangelo on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's right. Yes, he's also a great voiceover actor as well. So without further ado, our guest is
the
Robbie.
Sharknado soundtrack. Gotta mention that. Gotta mention it all.
You need a snare drum. Have a drum roll.
All right.
Can't really do a drum roll in there.
I hear you.
I hear you, Robbie. How's
Can
it going?
you see me?
Not yet.
I see your name.
Enable that somewhere on the Zoom there.
Oh, for the love of Jesus. All right, hold on. Okay.
There you
Can I
go.
go that way? Ah,
Yes.
good, I can. All right,
Hey,
good.
Yeah, there you go. We're all rectangles today.
All right, beautiful.
Hey, brother, how you doing?
So, all right, sir, I have a question for you, a very important question.
Alrighty.
First off, like, one of these days, like one of these Zoom things is going to happen. It's going to be like the event horizon. It's just going to be people like, I can, yeah. I think about these things. Yeah, why, what the hell am I, pop dork person, doing on a show that is primarily for progressive rock people?
Wow. Yeah. Well, I guess I don't want it to just be that,
I see. Well, I'm not saying I don't have an appreciation.
You have a progressive guitar collection behind you, though.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about music, and
Really? That's a progressive guitar collection? Let's see, I got an arch top and a Telecaster. Definitely not a jazz master. The minute we see, we will know that the music has been fully integrated, where there are no more borders when there's going to be, some group like Gentle Giant and the guitar player will be playing a jazz master.
I think they can be arranged. I think we can
Because usually it's something with a rack. The guitar either looks like it's made of driftwood, or it's a very, very high-end instrument, very shiny, very sleek. I'm not very shiny or sleek, Sean. I don't know what I'm doing here, man.
It's okay, man. We're gonna have a good time.
I think so. It'll be fine, man. I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, it's all about. SOAL stands for my show. SOAL actually stands for Story of a Life, which is oddly the name of our band, but that's another story. But
right on.
Well, actually, the first episode,
story of your life.
Right. That's right. Well, every time we have a guest, it's a story of their life.
But that would be soil.
Soil like green.
We decided soul sounded better than soil.
Okay. Let's hold off on snacks for now.
Quite a snack.
Maybe later we can have some wine with it. Did you see that thing where they're talking about if Jesus really, or if they really made the bread and the wine at church out of a real person's body, how many crackers you'd wind up with, and how many pints of wine you would get if Jesus was made of,
Wow. So wait, that means though that you would have to you would first have to drain your Jesus.
Oh no.
And then you would have to take the blood there and then make that into wine. So there's like a distilling process. So there probably wouldn't end up at the end of the entire process be all that much wine. Now the wafer, on the other hand,
I think we have tons of those.
Yeah, probably. You'd probably have way more wafer than wine. That's how I weigh in on that. I'm done. Okay. Thank you.
Somebody figured it out. Somebody parsed it out and wrote it down. I can't remember the details, but
that's hilarious.
I thought you thinking in unusual ways to even go there, but it's like, okay, yeah.
Did we just lose a bunch of listeners? I think we just lost.
Yeah, really.
I've just been, I've been, since I was a kid, all I've done is sort of basically creative writing. So, at this point, I've gone through all the A and the B and the C and the D and the F material. Now I'm just seeing like, well, what amuses me?
Exactly. Well, hey,
Yeah.
that's the best way
So
to
how
go.
much wafer, how much wine you get out of one Jesus amuses me endlessly.
That's right. The very fact that someone thought that they could figure out
That's
exactly
so great. Yeah.
if
Yeah, it's science.
to provide. So, well, of course he's always there, but you know what I mean. So anyway, yes, we didn't mean to go down this rabbit hole. So.
Look, it's get used to it.
Some wows
you see,
and some laughs out of it though.
I have a podcast of my own called The Spoon, thespoonradio.com.
Oh yeah, tell us about it.
And we have a policy of there's no subject we won't talk about, and there's no subject that we will research.
Okay.
So it's a wild and woolly kind of thing where it's like
you got a lot of stuff to talk about now.
Yeah. why are we talking about PVC this week? And that's where you are. So, on this show, be prepared for different rabbit holes is all.
Okay. Well, I like that. I like to improvise anyway.
Yes.
That's good. So where do we find your podcast at, and when is it? What day? And
the spoonradio.com. We have episodes available every Friday.
Feel like
I do a bunch of stuff. I just, the fact that you have this band and you also have a sort of a live podcast-y kind of show thing, this is sort of what we're all becoming. We're all becoming multi-hyphenates.
Oh yeah.
I agree, and I've been, I've been running a website about progressive rock since the late 90s called Progressive Ears. So I've been talking about prog forever, but after 10 years of just talking about the same 100 records, I was kind of chafing at the bit to do something else. And that was 10 years ago. So the past 10 years I've, gotten into.
So what, now there's 150 records? I thought that there was actually a pretty robust community of prog happening at the moment.
Oh, it really never kind of went away. The people that love it will probably love it till their dying day. And there's always a younger generation coming along that's discovering it.
It just gets generally more metal as the generations get younger.
Yeah, prog metal is definitely the strongest subgenre, as I would call it. But then there's also stuff that sounds a lot like Genesis or Yes with a modern twist to it. There's a lot of bands that sound like that. And then there's the kind of more avant-garde ones where they kind of mess with rhythm and harmony to the point that you kind of, I don't want to say it's nails on a blackboard by any means, but they're heading in that direction where we're going to progress in the sense we're going to make music you never heard. And if we have to push grandma down a staircase to do it and loop it, we will,
Right. Wow.
That was one time. I only tried that.
Right.
Once.
You love
well,
it.
I mean, really, as long as the staircase is long enough, that's all you really need.
Exactly. She could just keep tumbling forever.
That's so horrible. Oh my Lord. But yeah, that just seems to be the way it's going anyway, that the challenge seems to be at this point is to rock melodically in equal fashion. And there are groups that are doing that also. But it seems in prog world, it really has become about I'm darker and heavier than you.
Oh yeah, and I think that was a thing that started probably back in the 90s. I think metal in general went from 80s kind of crunch. Suddenly, Steve Vai came up with that 7-string guitar, and
right, and then Tool put a gate on it.
And Korn and all those guys, they're like, oh well, you could play the lowest metal ever. So we kind of saw it coming before it happened. People start dropping their low E down to D, and it's like, ooh, that's heavy, and it's like, well, what if we just stuck a fatter string on there and went all the way down to B? Well, eventually it's hard to discern what the hell's going on.
Well, next thing you're Bonaducci, and who gives a shit?
Yeah. Or you're playing
play a goddamn song.
Well, basically you're playing like a baritone guitar or something, and you just don't realize it.
Yeah, I have had heated discussions or fights, depending on how you want to look at it. Heated discussions with 5-string bass players. I myself am like, Yeah, I get it. You get that thing.
Oh no, you
But
don't even want to
also-
know what I've got. I'm gonna go grab something real quick. I'll be right back.
See,
Oh, it's no more than 9 or 10. Who knows? I
played-
lost track
look.
a long time ago.
Here's the thing. For me, it works in multiples of 2. So 4, 8, 12. Actually, multiples of 4. 4,
Okay.
8, 12.
I know what you're
Those are the 3 acceptable bass types.
getting. Okay.
A 4-string, an 8-string, and a 12-string. When
What
you
if
start
could-
adding the
How
Go
about
ahead.
2, 4, 6?
the dude from the presidency of the United States. He used to do that.
It has 2 strings.
Yeah, I think the guy from DAD did the same thing. Oh my Lord, what have you brought out?
This is a 6-string, but it's called a Warrior, so it makes it even more metal. Except it's actually a religious
Why?
company.
Why? Why? What are you doing? See, I'm about to start yelling at you. Oh my Lord, that all you're really doing is making a mockery of everybody who, like right now, Charles Mingus is in his grave going, what are you doing?
And then he's like, "That's better."
That's good. I'll take that.
Okay, you better show him that 4-string before things escalate.
Which that 4-string or this 4-string or
about
the
that?
How about the
No, that's
E-bass?
fine. Like I said,
That's right. He's into these bass ukuleles. He
I
actually channel.
believe in art. The idea is to hamstring yourself, and that way you have to be more creative. So if you take a group like AC/DC, who basically, it's 3 great chords, 20 great records, 1 great band, and they never strayed from the format, which meant they had to make a different version of the thing that they've already done without changing it so much that it's something else. Do you realize the knots that you have to tie yourself in to go, fuck, but we already did that?
Yeah, man. I'd be like I'd be hiking the capo up a fret every record.
Yeah, right. Even the Ramones at the end became kind of more of a hard rock band than a punk rock band. So they shifted, they fucked with the format. I don't know if we can swear on your show, but we can now. All right. So, but they totally became something else, where AC/DC, God love those guys. It's just medium tempo, heavy, big guitars that, there's no bass in the verse ever. It's just genius.
Well,
yeah, I believe in hamstringing yourself.
I agree with you, and it's like, and they have the audience that expects it. It's like some audience,
and then there's that,
right? And other people, it's the other way around. Like somebody like Todd Rundgren, you expect something different every time he makes a record, and you like it because you're a fan of his. But
toward the end, when he becomes, he suffered from the same thing I think that Stevie Wonder did. Is they discovered autonomy and then just told everyone around them, I don't need you anymore. And then you hear in both of them, when that starts happening, that their material, it's not as immediate. Let's just say that.
Like when Stevie was using that, I don't remember what the hell that was called.
Yeah, the synclavier, when he part-time lover and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Come on.
Just kind of programmed it all in. Well, yeah, and Todd's been kind of doing the same thing since, 15 years at least, where he just sits on his dick in Maui with a laptop and he clicks some beats together and he makes some songs. And it'd be nice if he just handed it to Chasm and the guys and said, okay, here's a demo. Now let's really record this.
Yeah, I mean, rehearsing, this. We've been playing music for a long time. After a while, rehearsing becomes a real challenge when, when we're young and it's like a gang and it's us against the world and we're gonna change how people view this kind of music that we make. We have no responsibilities at that time. And as we get older it like starting probably from your mid-30s, it becomes harder and harder to keep bands together because of all of the things that everybody's going through.
Oh yeah, you know.
Right.
Remember the Beatles said there's that song "Wedding Bells Are Breaking Up Our Gang," like some old song
Yeah,
from the 30s. And
totally.
it's just how life
You know,
unfolds. You know, things change, and money changes things too. You know?
Sure. Well, let's say let's say you're lucky enough to be really successful. That messes everything up. That's that all of that craziness sets in. Oh, I just found another screen on the Zoom. This technology is somewhat new to me. So look at that. I can even frame this better.
Maybe
Ooh,
like
look, we can put a couple more guitars in there.
quite a nice collection. You like those Rickies, don't you?
Huh? Actually, well, yeah, I've actually come around to them again. I for a while there, because I came out of this whole power pop group of people, I sort of disavowed using the standard tools with how you make that. But I have since come around because now, I'm over things being good. I don't want things to be good. I want them to be, I don't know, interesting. I want them to be weird. I want them to be like, what the fuck is that?
Well,
And so I'm finding other uses for Rickenbacker guitars and things like that, where I'm like, oh, you know what? It does another thing than what the thing everyone thinks that thing is that it does.
do you do like some instrumental background music occasionally for TV or movies?
What do you mean? I'm sorry?
Do you do instrumental background?
Oh, do I make it?
Yeah.
I've made some of that stuff. Yeah. I mean, I produced a horror movie in 2006 and I did the soundtrack for it.
What was it called?
Awesome.
It's called Stump the Band.
Okay.
There's a stumptheband.com that has the trailer up. It's also up on, actually, I think the movie is available on YouTube. And it's about a female rock band that gets attacked by these guys who collect women's feet.
Okay. Do they keep the shoes?
Huh? I guess you have to see the movie now, don't you?
I guess I do. Yeah.
It doesn't reinvent the wheel, but it's pretty funny. And I did the soundtrack for it, wrote a bunch of songs for it. So I mean, when it comes to doing this stuff, I've done a bunch of just different stuff, dumb things. I've done a lot of music for Anthony Ferrante. Do you know who that guy is? He directed all the Sharknado movies.
Oh yeah. How about the Sharknado movies?
Yeah, so I've been doing music for his projects for the last 20 or so years. So, and that's been everything from background music to writing songs with him for things, and mostly the Sharknado stuff. We have like 4 albums worth of material that came out of those Sharknado movies.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I just wrote, just during when the quarantine started, I just had finished up 5 songs for he has a movie coming out called Another Mother. It's going to be on Lifetime. And so we did a bunch of songs for that. So, I mean, I've been around entertainment for a long time. So basically I'm like, what do you need done? Needs me to write something? I'll write it. You want me to direct it? Yeah, I can do that. So.
Excellent. So what's your average day like during this unprecedented time?
Oh, during this unprecedented time? Well, yeah. I since there is no industry for me to go back to at the moment, I look at it as an opportunity to it was really hard. I made musical projects of my own all along, but it was kind of hard to focus on it because, I always had to be chasing money all the time. I would call myself a semi-successful entertainment person, not necessarily like, oh my gosh, I'm a entertainment success story. So I had to go chase stuff all the time. So now, without having to chase anything, I'm just like, I did those songs for the Anthony movie, and I did there's this singer-songwriter who I really admire named Tim Minchin, who he's doing Broadway stuff now, but I found him as a satirical singer-songwriter, kind of a Tom Lehrer meets Elton John kind of guy. And he wrote this 6-minute song called Thank You God. And I liked it so much that I learned all 6 minutes of it and played all the instruments. And, you know, I was like, oh, see, okay, that's done. So I put that up on the Bandcamp page. And then I did there's this group that was around in 1979, got signed in the wake of all the Knack stuff. They were called Elton Duck. And they had this amazing pop song called I Want to Make It Up to You. And I've always been like, oh, one of these days, if I have the opportunity to record that thing, I know exactly how I want to do it. And so I had the opportunity. So I've been doing these kind of things and putting them up on my Bandcamp page. And, you know, if anybody goes to see them, awesome. But other than that, mostly it's for my own edification.
Okay. Very cool. Well, let's see here. I got some questions.
All right.
So let's go back. What are your first musical memories, like around the house? What is there any particular?
Oh yeah. Well, my sister is 9 years older than me, so at a very young age, I already had AM radio. You know, I remember there was. We were visiting my grandmother in Oregon, and there was a song in 1973 by a group called the Buoys called Timothy. And Timothy is apparently a true story about these miners who were trapped in a cave-in, and to survive, they had to eat one of their friends.
It's very honor party.
I'm like, and it's in 1973, and it was like it reached like number 15 on the charts before people started going, I'm sorry, what is this about? And so it kind of dropped off. But I remember that song and my sister kind of terrorizing me with it because, you know, it's about people who eat each other. And so pop music was always around. Plus, my mom would listen to records, you know, just during the day and stuff. So to this day, the Harry Belafonte Calypso record, nice. Aside from it bringing back nice and warm, fuzzy memories, I'm glad she did because it's such a good record. It still is. It's got Banana Boat on it and, you know, all that stuff. Yeah. But, you know, Come Back Liza and, you know, Man smart, woman smarter. Come on, so good.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, I had a bunch of stuff. Plus, like, I mean, my dad was off at work. My mom was listening to these records like Belafonte and Engelbert Humperdinck and
my mom
Tom Jones. I personally,
Las Vegas.
My mom's no longer with us, but I think she might have been a horny young thing because there was an awful lot of Tom Jones kind of, you know, guys with their shirts open kind of singers, you know, ones we don't have anymore.
Right.
You know, everyone's very smooth now.
I think my mom was pretty horny too because I'm named after Sean Connery. So draw your own.
We learned something about Sean. I've known you for how long? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Dr. No just came out and a year later I did.
Yeah, she's like, I think we should name him Sean. And your dad's like, you mean like Connery? She's like, no, I just think it's a very beautiful name.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And then you know. So like when you started buying your own records, what was like the first album you remember?
First, I bought 2 records with, you know, money I had saved up at Gemco. The first 2 I got were David Bowie's Space Oddity and Elton John, Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player.
Oh, nice.
And and the Elton John record really stuck. I didn't go back and revisit Bowie and probably until I was, you know, into my 20s anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, those 2, and to this day, the first side of Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player is among some of the best stuff that guy ever did. It's so great.
Oh, yeah. Well, my first album was Fly Like an Eagle. So.
Nice. I had it.
Yeah.
I had it and I dug it. Are you kidding me? Yeah.
At the time, I thought it was heavy. You know, I was 10 years old. You know, Like, oh man,
There's
this
amazing, really amazing stuff on that.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and the hit alone, you know, it's the thing that launched 1,000 drummers. It's
Oh.
the 50 ways to leave your lover before 50 ways to leave your lover, 50 ways to leave your lover.
Okay, wow, that's a good way to
Do you
put
know
it.
what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where, like, when that's, I mean, when that song was out, I remember all the drummers that I knew were like, oh, and so, like, the idea was to know how to do that. It's like when Rosanna came out.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
Everybody had to go, or fucking Fool in the Rain.
right.
That thing, you know, that's one of the, I don't know if
The
that
Purdy
really,
Shuffle kind of thing.
Yeah, the Purdy.
yeah, I don't know if that really happens anymore.
Oh,
I don't know if anybody like listens to a record and goes, ooh, that's I guess they do with these prog bands, but
They
to
definitely
me
do.
it seems
yeah.
it's more of a sport.
right.
It
Well,
seems
you
like
know,
music has become more of a sport.
and kind of a lazy one at that on some levels. You know, it just seems like people that aren't even, I don't know, it's not like you have to be a musician to make music, but I just think that it makes it really easy nowadays to just click a loop together and bullshit over the top of it for a couple minutes and call it a song, and people don't question it. Or, you know, I haven't heard a bridge on a pop song in about 15 years. You know, it's like nobody even knows what one is
It's a
anymore.
lost art. Yeah.
I know it is, and it's always the best part in a way. You know, it's like
Mhm.
Where all the
that's,
development
you know,
happens.
I'm
all the
sounding like an old fart, but I just prefer, you know, even simple stuff, even goofy, dumb songs in the 70s had interesting chord progressions, amazing tones, because no bad ones had been invented yet.
I don't think, I think part of it is that, how do I say this? I think
Everybody had a curly chord.
culturally
was.
speaking, we're too afraid to actually feel anything.
I think you're onto something. Yeah.
We're comfortably
you know,
numb, huh?
Well, yeah. I mean, I talk about the 70s, or at least how old is everybody here? Or do we talk about that? Are we allowed to?
Well, I am 53, a couple years.
Okay. Well, I'm 55. So we're
Yeah.
you know, in that same thing.
And
I say that our generation was a generation of melancholy, because all the records that we grew up with, at least on, you know, the AM radio, there was a lot of songs about dead dogs and dead teenagers and eating your friends. Do you know the Terry Jacks song "Season in the Sun"?
Oh, sure, yeah.
"Season in the Sun" is a song about a guy who's dying, and in the course of it, he says goodbye to everyone he knows. I don't know. Is that out there now? No way.
Well,
nobody
in the
would write a
90s,
song and want to feel that.
But in the 90s, grunge, the entire thing was about a lot of sad stuff. There's a lot of entire genres.
But it was injured. It was like injured animals singing. And what I mean by that is, it's like, hey, you hurt me and I'm going to be louder than you, so you won't give me shit about it. Where the 70s thing was like, fuck, dude, I just got to tell somebody that really hurt. Jesus.
It's almost like,
I'm going to write a song about it here.
Right. It's almost like people were too macho to go there after a while.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it goes along with all the, you know, the roar, man singing, the goat singing. Well, there's the whole thing with
it's just
the 90s were a cultural wasteland, especially what was commercially successful. All of that stuff. I mean, there was bubbly under stuff that and most of it was so indie, nobody on the planet heard it. But most of that 90s stuff, STP and Pearl Jam and all of the terrible girl singers that came up, the diva singers that came up during that time, it was a really, really bad time in music. And I think we're only getting over it in the last 5 or 6 years. Wow. I'm actually starting to hear bands out that I'm like, hey, that's good.
Yeah, I can think of some. Have you heard that new band, or they're not fairly new, the Lemon Twigs?
Lemon Twigs are great. I'm a fan of this band from Cincinnati called Foxy Shazam.
Yeah,
hilarious.
It's been them before, yeah.
Yeah,
I
best
love that
best
name.
lead singer I've seen in 20 years. The guy's hilarious. So it's out there, and so people are making good music. And the funny thing about where we're at now is, there used to be 3 channels on television, which
Right.
meant at any given time, 1/3 of the country was watching one of those, and it made for coffee. It made for water cooler talk. Did you see All in the Family on Friday? So the chances are for a cultural connection, there were 20 million of you that watched it. So there has to be some common ground there. Well, now there's 11 million channels of radio and
Right.
TV and movies and stuff. So everything is niched out. So
Right.
everyone at this point has their niche niched out, and they're just growing in that. So there's really good pop stuff going on over here. We have this little prog community we were talking about. There's weirdo jazzy people that are doing crazy.
Who are you calling weirdo jazzy? No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, by the way, do you know of a Japanese group called Tricot?
I don't know that one. No.
I'm going to say you're welcome. Tricot. They're just mathy enough. They're just mathy enough, and they're songy all at the same time. And I found myself going, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I shouldn't. This isn't really aimed at me, and yet I really responded to it very strongly. And I like a lot of shit that most people go, God, Bob, that is dreadful. What is wrong with you? So this might be one of those.
I like that. Well, that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, because I know you.
I get excited when I find it. When I find it, I get stupid. I irritate the crap out of my wife. I'm like, honey, listen to this. And she's a Fish fan. So, sometimes I'm like, I'm going to challenge your hippie groove.
So have you been drugged to a Fish concert more than once?
We've been to one so far, and we were actually going to go this July, but we know how that went. And I enjoyed it. I'm at this point, I'm past really defining myself by music, which for decades I did. Now I'm like, hey man, if it's good, bring it on.
Yeah, and it definitely is. I've got a lot of friends that are big devotees. I've seen them a few times. I think they're good.
I went to one with you.
Long guitar solos bore me though. So
it's why I'm not a big fusion guy either. For that very reason, it's like here comes the solo section.
It's not always about the solos. It's more about the rest of it and the arrangement. If it's done well, something like Chick Corea or somebody really surprises you with some unpredictable things.
But how long ago was that? I mean, the Leprechaun. The Leprechaun is what, 1979?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, well, it had its heyday, but he's probably got 50 records he's done since then.
I bet you weren't expecting the Leprechaun out of me, were you? No.
You're old enough to know. So, so tell us a little bit about how you got into TV originally. I figured Brady Bunch was the very first role you had.
I bitched my parents into it.
Really?
So, yeah, I wanted to be in it started that I said I want to be in a monster movie. It started when I was about 4. And I want to be in a monster movie. And they were like, yeah, whatever, sure you do. And it got to a point where I just said, I want to be in a movie. And they went, no, you don't. And I was like, yes. And I'm 5 or 6. And they went, all right, this is their parental plan. They had a meetup, right? When I was probably asleep somewhere. And they went, all right, here's what we're going to do with Junior. We're going to take him to a cattle call. And he's going to see how awful it is. And he won't want to do it. Okay. So I got the job.
Were you already out in California?
Yeah. I was born here. I was born in Los Angeles.
That kind of made it a little easier that you were already in the right neighborhood to go try.
No doubt. I mean, it's I sometimes consult with parents who want to, put their kids in show business. And it's a little easier now because there are, like junior college drama departments and things like that probably weren't as much available back in the day. And now, the technology is such that if your kid really wants to be an actor that badly, why don't you go make a movie with your little camera phone? Show me how badly you want to do this. And,
Right. Okay. So what was the movie?
Oh, well, it wasn't a movie. It was a student film. And then I think I had another student film. And then I did a Nestle's Crunch commercial. I did like 6 of them all in a row. And after each one, I would tell my parents, that was super fun. I want to do that again. And they, I didn't know it at the time, but the way they've described it since was, crap. And then they would take me to another one, and I would get it. I was really fun. Can I do that again? Take another one. And then so I was 6 deep before I didn't get one. And that just made me go, really? You don't get everyone? Bullshit. And so I did like 100 and some 80. I did 180 commercials in the first 2 or 3 years I did that job.
Wow.
I was just like, I will take them all.
They're all on
cute,
YouTube.
God damn it. I'm going to be so goddamn cute. You've never seen goddamn cute like that.
Well, that's awesome. And how old were you when you got the role on the Brady's?
I was 9.
9.
And I'd already done a bunch of stuff at that point.
It wasn't your first TV.
I think I had already worked with John. Like I did a couple of those John Denver television specials, and I worked with Jonathan Winters. I did a bunch of really cool stuff. And then they were going to have a spin-off show from the Brady Bunch with Ken Berry, and I read for that, and they really liked me, but I wasn't a brunette. And then a couple months later, the network said, "Hey, why don't you put a kid in?" And they went, "All right." And then read for it and got it.
Yeah, the rest.
And now 50 years later, we're still talking about it. That's the 40. That's what's insane. Because think about how many television shows have been on since 1973. A lot of them.
Right, and a lot of them are gone with the wind, and nobody ever thinks about them again. But you guys just live on in syndication forever.
And now with Zoom, Brady Bunch is getting brought back up because everybody's recreating the intro with these conversations. So it's forever ingrained. They predicted Zoom.
Anybody else want to come in for a minute? We'll get 6 windows open and sing that song.
That'd be fun.
It's like, I know the typical cliche legend is that, you jinxed it and, Cousin Oliver syndrome. But what people don't realize is that the series was going to be over before you even started filming that season. Am I right?
Yeah. They
were trying to save it.
Yeah, well, they weren't. The network was. The producers were done with it. They were like, "Look, it's top 10 show. Let's go out on top. We'll make a little, syndication money. It'll be awesome." And the network went, "But we could put another kid in." And they went, "Can't we just be done?" And they went,
"No, milk the
"Why
cash
don't
cow.
you put a kid in?" Yeah, right. They were just going to beat it into the ground. And then of course, in classic network fashion, the way I understand it is they went, "Yeah, you're right. It's probably not going to work."
That was it.
Yeah. But I guess thank you, because I'm here talking to you people about it.
Did you watch the show before you got the role? Like a few?
Not
years
much. I knew it existed, but I was a $6 Million Man Partridge Family guy.
I was wondering, did you ever meet Danny Bonaducci?
Yeah. Of course.
You ever party with
Danny? I've known Danny, off and on my whole life.
Yeah, I see a little parallel there. You both were kind of like the youngest guy on these.
But also we saw each other at auditions all the time.
Oh, cool.
There was a whole world of auditions that everybody was going on, and so there's Danny and there's whoever else, Alicia Fleer, or there's what's her name from Little House on the Prairie. you know, just all of these, and we were all just doing stuff. We were all working. You know, it's like, it was weird because we were all like 9, and I'm like, it's somebody I know from work.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
So strange. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, yeah. And there's all of those people, you know, like you see them on television and you view them a certain way, even Danny through his radio and all of that stuff. But, you know, it's a like, you know, I don't know, after everyone goes home from a basketball game, you know, whoever the player is, you know, has to go back to his wife, who goes, "Hey, can you take the trash out, please?"
Yeah,
yeah, it's just normal life.
Down to earth, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, the truth of the matter is, everything is normal life. It just doesn't look that way in entertainment.
Oh yeah, well, you know,
Yeah.
the gilded cake
yeah.
and all that. Yeah. So, what was a typical commercial date like? You show
You
up
mean
on
the job?
stage early in the morning and kind of,
Yeah. I mean, basically, it's why I liked voiceover when I started getting into that, because for years, you know, you get up at 4:30, depending on where you're going. Sometimes there was an hour and a half drive to wherever it was we were going, and which meant a 2.5 hour drive back. And you know, try to keep your, you know, wits about you for the entire day, you know, having to, I mean, most of doing commercials is waiting. Most of it is about the lighting and stuff like that. So you have to find ways to keep your, I mean, I had 3 hours of school on the set, but then, you know, you have to find ways to keep your energy up, and, you know, not be falling asleep when they go, "All right, run through the scene."
Right. So we're ready for you now.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, great. Yeah, that's the hurry up and wait. When I started doing voiceover because the agency I was with had a print department, a commercial department, a young people's department, and a voiceover department. And whenever they needed young voices, they'd go down to the young people's department and bring us up to voiceover. And I started working doing that. And I was like, wait a minute, are you telling me that to do a commercial for voiceover, I'm out of there in an hour? And most of these gigs don't start until 10 a.m. I am going to get a lot of these. I made a decision that I was going to go out there and I was going to be as successful at this as I possibly could be, because even a cartoon is 4 hours and you're done. Come on, that leaves me the rest of the day to go home and practice and, you know, learn that song that I've wanted to, or, you know, whatever.
Do you do you ever add the vocals after the fact, or they always come first, or does it depend on
it depends on what you're doing. For cartoons, you do it all at the same time, hopefully, but they do all the voices first. Anime, they have the thing already, and you have to match up with them. And there's various kinds of ADR, analog or automatic dialogue replacement. There's different areas of that. Anime is one of them. Sometimes there are people who, I know a guy who was the voice of Kelsey Grammer when Kelsey Grammer couldn't be on The Simpsons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And he'd have to, I think, go, to redo lines. He'd have to, ADR stuff. So there's really, the great thing about the job is you never really, if you're doing background voices, like you're in a carnival atmosphere in the movie, and as the couple, our heroes are walking through, they want the sound of the people around them. So you walk around a microphone and you come up with things that people would say at a carnival. And then you do that for like 2 hours. Not That's great awesome. Pay for that particular one. Anime sucks. $65 an episode.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. All these people that want to be anime voiceover artists, I'm like, why?
They'd probably make more fun making the graphic novels.
Well, yeah, and I think part of it also is, it used to be you could make money at conventions, but that's now over.
Oh. Were you at? Never mind.
Have you had the pleasure of doing Dragon Con down here in Atlanta before?
That's exactly what I was
I
going to ask.
never did. I have not been down to Dragon Con. I was starting to do a few of them when the whole thing happened. So I think we were talking to them.
Okay.
I don't remember. I
There-
had a buddy of mine who was
we
helping me
went
out with
this
that.
year. We went this year, and the popular costume was overweight Thor, because it's so easy.
Sure.
To tuck
Well,
in.
yeah, part of the audience is kind of in there. But yeah, I was in. I for a long time I played with this band called the Mockers. They're from Virginia, but the two guys in the Mockers met as kids in Spain, and they loved it so much there that they kept wanting to go back. So they had their band, and that's primarily where we played. And I played guitar with them. And I was in Spain a lot, and I was talking to this one guy there who, like, the anime or the convention thing had only been there 4 or 5 years or something, not very long. But he had been, a D&D guy, all of the nerdly things. And I was like, so what's the big difference now? And he went, girls. There are girls. And that's, I mean, really, we go to these conventions now, like, oh, look, it's an army of Sailor Moons,
Okay. Yeah, we went, me and Steven went down there this year, and we met Lou Ferrigno. He was probably the biggest name they had there that day. And, I've never been to one of these before. So I'm like, hey, Steven, grab my camera, take my picture with Lou. And it's like, wait a minute.
That'll be this much. Like, Sean, don't get us kicked out.
Like,
yeah.
Who else did we meet? We met, what, SpongeBob's voice or something?
It was Squidward from SpongeBob, and he, so I didn't have to ask him to say anything and pay money because somebody else did. I was just standing by, like, cool. Walked away. I would like to support, but at the time we spent the money.
I mean, but the thing is, part of it is a genuine collector thing. If you're into it, you're into it. So, like, there are people that have shown up at conventions that brought in turtle heads, like animatronic from the movie Turtle Heads. So, wow. Like, the again, we're back to this sort of niched out world that we live in.
Right.
There's a collector crowd out there. Yeah. There's those pop figurines. You know what I'm talking about?
YouTube
Funko?
Channels about Smurfs. You know what I mean? About people where people talk about nothing but merchandise from Smurfs.
I think the thread that ties them all together is all these people are very passionate about whatever this niche is.
I believe that everything big cuts both ways. Okay, and the internet is no different. As many bad things that happened because of it, there's a lot of good things that happen. And one of the, I guess, interesting things I think that the internet sort of brought out is how tribal we are. And we're always looking for us in the world. And so this technology has afforded us the opportunity to be a part of the largest quilting group on the planet.
For me, it's Ubase. I have the largest Ubase channel right now, and I just answer questions about it, and that's literally what I do, and teach lessons on it. And
the first question is, what is that?
I'm a fan of this YouTube guy who has a thing called the Trogley Guitar Show.
Cool.
And he basically just finds vintage instruments, and takes them all apart, documents them, puts them back together, does a little presentation of what the instrument does, and that's the whole thing. And I can't stop watching them.
This is the best kind. That's right.
Yeah.
I can't stop watching the woman who's a mortuary person, and she tells me stories about cannibalism. I love her.
I haven't heard that one.
It's called Ask a Mortician.
So I gotta ask one real quick. As a child of the 90s, I was born in '89, so I grew up in the '90s. So I ended up watching the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies and stuff, and I had no clue that was your voice until Sean was talking to me about this show. I'm just like, man, you had all the cool lines and you had all the, how did you land that? And was it like you did it all in one day or week, or
well, we did it in,
like?
it was like we did it in 4 days. That's an automatic dialogue replacement gig where,
okay.
So I'm getting, through my headphone in one ear, I'm getting the audio of the puppeteer saying the line, because, you know, he has sensors attached to his face. So as he's saying the line, he's moving his mouth kind of like this. And he also doesn't sound like my character.
Oh, that's gotta be weird.
I have this guy in my ear doing a line that I'm supposed to be doing in this, you know, thankfully it was an accent that I knew how to do really well, because Val Speak started in my neighborhood. So like all of that dude, gnarly stuff, all that surfer talk.
You were the right guy.
It was like around 1978, something like that. I start hearing people using that sort of dialect, I don't know whatever you want to call it, that affectation a lot. And then it becomes a thing where I was actually starting to go to young girls. I'd be like, oh my God, like really? They're like, what? Why are you making fun of the way I talk? You know, this thing. And so I knew how to talk like that. So it didn't throw me off like as much as it might have. But it's like, you know, it's like juggling, you know, a kitten and a bowl of cereal you don't want to break and a chainsaw. You know, you're like, But yeah, and it took like 4 days.
That's awesome.
I just, you know, I think they rented me out for 5.
But you had some of the best lines, like I had no clue which one you were. We're like looking at him, like, I think it's him. You know, like I was like, oh, there it is. Oh, there he is. Oh, he's
yeah,
like got the best lines.
He's the most popular character. It's hilarious. Yeah. And
I always wanted pizza after watching the lines.
I mean, I'm not, you know, ultimately whatever, but apparently my version of it, because there's now been 6 or 7 Michelangelos. Everybody seems to keep going back to that one, going, "You're the guy."
That's like, the one. Yeah.
Where's the money?
Yeah. How does a gig like that compare to the voiceover, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, Turtles all 3 times was a buyout. They got me for $2,000 a movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Seems pretty cool still.
And there's some residual, you know, there's some like foreign residuals from playing on TV and stuff, but that's usually like $50 a year or something. Yeah. Right. It's most people have a view of how entertainment works.
Oh, I know how it works.
Yeah, it's really not the thing that everybody thinks it is.
Well, what's weird is YouTube is kind of like that. If you pay somebody else to do a lesson on your channel or something, you pay them a one-time fee, and then you send them to a website where they become a membership thing, and it's like all of a sudden, I have a friend that does that, and it's kind of like, it's the same kind of thing. You're bought out, and they have the thing that keeps, they have the money machine, I guess.
Right, sure. Yeah. I mean, I have a friend who ghost writes books, same kind of deal, you know. X amount of money per word, and then that's it.
But it's cool, and it's like it gives you an extra edge to your platform to get more work and to get more things, I think. So
well, I mean, that's the world that we're in now. Is that it's I mean, again, that double-edged sword that I was talking about. Right. We live in influencer world where you're always on a quest to get more and more eyes on your thing.
Story of our lives.
Yeah, and you have to navigate through, you know, tremendous amounts of douchebaggery to, yeah.
Cool. People have been telling me, like, do more meme culture in what I'm doing or whatever. Like, I got that comment, and it's like, I know it would like blow up the audience, but I don't know if that's me, you know.
Do whatever you do. I mean,
exactly.
You know, that Spoon show that I have, you know, we do it because it's super fun, and you know, we have a small listenership. If it ever catches, great. But ultimately, you know what? I'm it's like I said, I'm over being good. I'm also over giving a shit if anybody likes my thing or not. You know, great, move along, go, you know, Go find whatever it is that causes you bliss. In the meantime, this will be here. You can come back and visit if you want.
Hey, I have a friend of mine that's going to pop in here and join us for a few minutes.
Oh, my Lord.
His name is Jake Livgren. He's kind of one of our co-hosts from time to time. And he's from the Kansas family. His uncle.
That's why I understood the last name sounded familiar.
There you go, that name.
There you go.
He's also a huge collector and just does all kinds of cool stuff. So he wanted to pop in here and ask you a few questions too. So
all right.
Let's see here.
He's waiting in the wings. There he is.
Need a snare drum. Drum roll, please.
I can't really do a roll on a cajon, but I use a cajon as a chair, so that's all I got. I can give him some like intro music, but not a snare roll.
Okay.
I could do that. Oh, did it work? We got a frozen still.
Getting close. There he goes.
There he is.
There we go.
Whoa.
Yikes.
Howdy, brother.
Hey, Jake.
Can you hear me?
Nice shirt.
Yeah, you can turn it up a little bit.
Turn it up. Oh, well, my mic's way far away from me. Hold on.
There you go.
Better. There we go.
Yes,
Hey, Robbie.
Hello there, sir. How are you?
I was really digging the conversation so far. I've been posting and posting.
You mean people asking me a question and then me talking for an hour? Sure, I bet it's great.
Man, that's
it's
why
insightful
you're the
stuff.
guest. That's what you do. Hey, I just wanted to pop in and for one thing, God dang, I'm white. I'm so white. All right.
Is there a light in your eyes?
Yeah.
This is not from light. This is not from light. This is what my skin looks like.
No, I'm white. Well, I guess we're both white.
Oh boy.
I think we're all white.
Yeah. Do you ever this episode particularly reminds me of the Gilbert Gottfried podcast. You check out the Gilbert. Yeah. Have you ever thought about being on there? Or have you ever wanted to be on there?
I have. There's a lot of things I want to do. I just have no way. I don't know if there's enough onion layers that I can get through to get at it. Right. I mean, the truth of the matter is there's very little reason why at this stage of the game they probably want me. There was a radio station here in LA, KLOS, and there were these morning guys, not Kevin and Bean, because that was K-Rock. I forget who these gentlemen were. But anyway, one morning in the 90s, they were saying, hey, if anybody out there has a celebrity's phone number, why don't you send it to us and we'll give them a call. And a friend of mine thought it would be hilarious to give him my phone number. And they answered the phone and he went, I have Robbie Rist's phone number. And the guy went, who? And he went, Robbie Rist, Cousin Oliver. And he goes, no, I want somebody famous. And he hung up. So that's kind of where we're at.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
so,
dude,
I don't know. I'll do anything.
You've done
a cereal box opening.
No, but you've done a lot and you know a lot of people. And I think you have a lot of stories that would be cool on that show. So it's weird how it's
anybody out there, let Gilbert know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's weird how social media works. Like I'm friends with so many of my heroes and so many, just people I would never expect to be friends with. I'm friends with now he's the ex sound engineer for Gilbert Gottfried's podcast. And I just met him on there totally randomly. But he said he still has in touch with him, so maybe I'll put a word in for you.
Let me know. That would be awesome. Thank you. I'll talk favorably of you should I get
on. Yes.
Yeah. I'll be like he's super awesome. A little on the white side, but very awesome.
A little pale, but
what do I have to do to fix this? I don't even know. Here, let me just turn this light completely off. Oh, hey, look how less white I am.
That's kind of cool and
Yeah, you look a little like you're a DJ at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, there's your Rosie.
Hey, how's it going? This is Jake Livergan in the evening with you here on KJK.
There we go.
Boy, am I glad I had that martini.
KEWI. WREN. WIBW. That's it.
Yeah. Robbie's never heard of that, I promise.
No, yeah.
What? I was all of a sudden I was completely distracted by the delay between my internet, which is showing the thing, and the phone, which is showing the thing, and there's some kind of delay.
See, I overlap them. So I like put the they're both on the computer for me, so that I don't have to see that, because it's a big delay. It's like 15 seconds, 20 seconds.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, like
very distracting. Sorry. So what is it that I know a lot about? What?
Oh, we were just.
Oh no.
He said
Sean is from the town that I'm in currently, which is Topeka, Kansas. You may have heard of it, probably not.
I'm aware of Topeka. What are you kidding me? I've done a crap load of van tours in vans. I've gone back and forth across the country. I don't know, a whole bunch of times. So I've driven through it. I've been,
Yes.
You know
that's exactly what you should do.
Driven through it, never stopped.
I played in Lawrence, Kansas.
Oh yeah, Lawrence is a bit more of a spot than Topeka. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've been through there. I've seen much of this great nation of ours.
Cool. That's a cool way to be.
Western Kansas will test your patience.
I felt that way about Eastern New Mexico.
Okay.
Or like a lot of Texas. A lot of Texas is like, oh my Lord, are we still here?
It takes a whole day. It takes a whole day. I think once the mountains come along, the Southwest is kind of cool. It's the plains that are so damn boring. It's just I hit black ice in Iowa. That was exciting. All kinds of great stuff. Yes.
Yeah. Well, my wife cost me a vehicle with black ice. Yeah.
It's an AC/DC album too.
See,
and an air freshener scent.
There you go. That's right, buddy. So have you ever seen the Brady house with your own two eyes? I know they had that. No, you never had the urge to just hop in your car and go, I'm going to go look at that fucking thing.
Nah. Yeah, I mean, I don't go to Disneyland every day either. It's like I got other shit. This is where I live, so I got shit to do.
Right.
So I've never even been by it. They had when they did the refurbish show,
where they actually bought the house and turned it, made it look like the set.
So they called me to be on it. They took this photo in front of the house, for the original 6, and they put it up on social media. And this is not an ego trip for me. I just found it amusing that a whole bunch of people were like, "Hey, why isn't Cousin Oliver in there?" I was like, "That's hilarious," and I was going to let it go. But the next day, the producer of the show called me and said, "Hey, we don't know how or how we're going to do this, but do you want to be on it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I mean," but I'm like, I don't really know what I would do. You know what I mean? This is really about the original 6. Maybe we should leave it at that. And he goes, "Well, we figure something out, we'll call you." I'm like, "Great, okay." So they're just about to do the end of the shooting, and he calls me and goes, "Hey, do you want to come down for the reveal episode?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. I'm looking for a job always. I'm like, "So what is this? Is this like a day player kind of thing? How does this pay?" And the producer literally did this. He went, "Oh, well, I thought you'd want to do it for free."
I figured that was the catch. Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
Did
anybody else?
Well, there's also the defecating in your hat option. So Yeah. I was like, really? Are you kidding me? I mean,
Oh, man.
I don't know if he's going to.
That's when you go back to social media and you say, why don't you raise the money to pay me through social media,
Yeah.
and then I'll come meet you down there. Give me a GoFundMe for Cousin Oliver. Go fund Cousin Oliver. Oh,
That's wild. I can't believe they even did that, but I'm sure it made for
welcome. Oh, entertainment. Oh my gosh. I describe being in entertainment like this. Being in entertainment is like having a relationship with an incredible human being who you finish each other's sentences. You have the same sense of humor. You watch a commercial and you both go, and the other one goes, yeah. Okay. So there's all of this great connection, and the whole thing would be perfect if your partner would only stop having sex with all of your friends. Yeah. And whenever you catch your partner having sex with one of your friends, she doesn't stop making eye contact with you. She just like, it's pretty great, right? Woo! And the thing is, you love this thing that you're in so much, you have to go, it is.
Yeah. God.
Sure, honey.
It is that fun, I guess. Oh, well. I do wish you would stop having sex with all my friends, though.
Yeah.
Sounds like an Offspring song.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very fun.
Well, that's wild. So there was a song bouncing around in my head the other day. Big John, Little John.
Sure.
What a way. It's like I hadn't seen that show in 40, I take it back, probably more than 40 years. I didn't even remember it was on Saturday morning. It was just like, why is this song stuck in my head? And I went to YouTube and it was like, oh, it was a Saturday morning show. And I was watching cartoons. So, yeah.
It was the last of its kind, or among the last of its kind. If you'll notice, at a certain point, there were no more live action Saturday morning television shows.
Oh, yeah, gets a good point. Yeah, there were so many.
There were a bunch. I mean, Land of the Lost, Sigmund and the Sea Monsters, all that stuff. And it all became so. Big John, Little John was among the last of those, and it ran for a year, 2 year, something like that.
What was the premise? The guy was like, he drank from the fountain of youth.
Guy on vacation gets lost in the Everglades away from his family.
Kind of like the Hulk, he would unexpectedly become young at an inopportune moment, usually.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a classic story of me. He doesn't come into a position of strength. He gets small and pathetic. It's just how it's how it's always been in my career. Why should it be any different there?
Oh,
I'm joking.
Well, I like that show. I haven't even thought about it.
It's available somewhere.
25 years. Well, there's a couple on YouTube, and it was just like, that was Robbie. Okay, yeah, I remember that song.
One of the kids on there, what was his name? Ended up on, he was soap opera actor for Christophe St. John.
Oh, okay.
Christophe St. John ended up being this really big voiceover actor. I mean, as far as that show goes, I mean, a real success story. Pretty amazing. So they were like, through my career, there's been people that I'm like, oh my God, I worked with that person, didn't I? Jodie Foster. Talk about different career trajectories. Holy Christ. There goes Jodie. See you later.
Yeah. What did you work with her on back in the day?
A couple of things, but as I remember, one thing I remember was an after-school special with Red Buttons, old character actor,
right?
It's called Alexander, about a creepy clown guy old man lives in the neighborhood. Kids become his friend, and he dies. It's very hilarious.
Okay. Well, what are some of your favorite guest spots back in the 70s? I know you're on Bionic Woman.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, what is how do you what's your favorite kid? I mean, mostly for me, I was just grateful to be working. This has always been my thing. See, I had German immigrant parents, And when I said I wanted to do this thing for a job, they eventually went, all right, if you're going to do this for a job, understand one thing. We are German, which means more than anything, we work until we die. And I was like, all right, that's kind of how that goes. So this ethic of work was really what drove me more than anything else. Just sort of like, you know, I'm doing this, so I should do as much of it as I possibly can. So, and everything is like, I don't know, I worked. I was on Bionic Woman. Awesome. And there are weird little thingies like, I don't know, maybe if you look at it a certain way, if I am in your thing, there is an infinitesimally better chance that that thing is going to end up iconic just by having me involved, apparently. So I don't know what that is, but you know,
well, that means his show. You just made Sean's show iconic, so thank you.
See, I might now. In the meantime, I might also kill it, but it'll be iconic after it's dead.
Right.
But, so there's that. Lucky you.
Double-edged sword.
Yeah, see, cuts both ways, baby.
Go.
Robbie, you guys were kind of talking about it a little earlier, and I hadn't gotten on yet, but I probably would have had things to say. Do you make any kind of a living with the convention circuit at all?
I mean, I always say I'm not an actor. I'm an entertainment guy, which means I did a lot of things, and that sort of cobbled together some kind of career. So conventions were just another part of that. Somebody at a certain point explained to me that one way to look at all of your abilities is that each one is a spigot that money can come out of. So you get a spigot and get it in the wall, turn that one on, and maybe just a little dribble happens. But if you take another spigot, stick that in there, open that one up, sometimes one will be like, oh, geez, I got to get a thing under there to catch all the money. Other times you're kind of going, here's a couple here, here's a couple here, here's a couple here. So it would solely from that? No, because I don't think my fan base kind of works that way. I was at one where the cast of Twilight was there for an hour and a half. And it went from, oh, there's some people here to zoo. And then it went back to, oh, there's some people here.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know, yeah.
Well, I would think,
so, I mean, this has been sort of my thing in art, is that I don't do one thing. I mean, I've taught voiceover. I've done people's demos. I've produced bands. I've produced my own stuff. I have a podcast. I'm writing a comic book. I just do art projects. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would think maybe, several of your past accomplishments probably would, at least in my mind, I would think you would be able to have a spigot, out there, like the Turtles and
the Turtles, I would think.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I said, there is a fan base for it, but just like anything else, some conventions are better than others. I mean, just from an attendance standpoint, and then depending on where it is, sometimes, it's in an area where people don't have a lot of money to spend. So, there is no, just like anything else in entertainment, it's really chaotic, whether it, I mean, think about all the money that they throw at movies that fail miserably.
Yeah.
Right.
Aside from the ones that succeed, more ones don't than do.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and why? Why does it happen? I've seen plenty of movies and plenty of television shows and plenty of bands where I was like, this should be the biggest thing on the planet.
Yeah.
And
King's
goddamn cricket.
Jellyfish.
Yeah, King's X, jellyfish. That should be what everyone is humming in their heads.
6-string basses. Sorry.
Hey,
Yeah.
you know what? I want to amend my 6-string bass prejudice because okay, maybe I have a prejudice against that 6-string bass, but the baritone guitar I think has many uses. So
this bass has been what's it called? Anointed, because they're a religious company. They did something to anoint it. I don't even know.
Oh,
but
wow!
There's a cross on the top of that.
So you're a millionaire then?
Okay.
No.
Let me know if it works.
Yeah.
You know.
It looks cool. It's anointed by looking cool.
So,
Yeah.
Robbie, what do you
What did I
remember?
Is that a
say?
banana in your lap, or are you just happy to see me? What?
A piece of driftwood. Look at all those bases. Yeah, they're either like black satanic looking things or it's the driftwood thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Why not a blue sparkle? Why not?
It's got a purple stripe down the middle.
Why not a airbrush picture of like a topless woman on a bomber? You know, doing that.
Then it'd be worth millions. Just kidding.
Get on it, Steven. Customize that thing. Hey, Robbie, any thoughts on the Hollywood music scene in the 80s? I figured you were the right age.
Well, I mean, what do you mean? There were a lot of them. You know,
Yeah.
there was a whole really great, Americana came up during that time, you know, that sort of resurgence in country-ish rock. And so there was groups like Tin Star and Lone Justice and the Blasters. And, you know, that was around during that time. Huh?
The Hooters.
Right.
Oh.
Well, okay, but that's not Los Angeles. That's Philadelphia.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, no, I mean, no, there was also, it was a decade of one-hit wonders. I mean, there's really very few albums that, like, I hear more talk of singles than albums from the 80s. And which is fine, it's great. There were a lot of great ones. And there were a ton of records that are really well known now that people discovered later. I mean, that's, you know,
I'm counting on that for my career.
Yeah, believe me too. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
I am ripe for some 19-year-old nerdy kid that nobody likes and has this weird taste in music that they go, why on earth do you like that garbage? And he's gonna be my guy. He's gonna write the blog. He's gonna be like, discovered Holy Grail. And I'll be like, about fucking time.
So what were some of the other scenes like? You know, I think the one that you heard.
You know, there was like, I remember when the hair metal thing happened.
Yeah, did you ever go down there in the midst of that?
All right, 1981, something like that. I have a band that says they had they were the house band for the Troubadour for like the month of August, and so we played the headlining slot Thursday and Friday, or Friday and Saturday for 4 weeks. And we had a series of various opening acts, some of them interesting, some of them not. And one day, we're getting there for sound check, and I'm up in the dressing room waiting to, you know, go down and do our check. And I hear this, you know, Marshall driven rock, whatever. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I go down there and I watch their sound check, and I'm like, this is dookie cocky. Oh my God. Like, this is depressingly.
Can I guess?
Go ahead.
Motley Crue?
Yeah.
Wow, he got it. What does he win?
Yeah, I know, but that's yeah.
That was good,
and I was like, and I've only been that wrong one other time. It was at Wong's West, like 87, something like that. And it's Guns N' Roses. And I was like, I'm like, this is going to go nowhere. Because I remember when Welcome to the Jungle came out, and it was okay, but it wasn't a hit record. It wasn't like, and I was like, ha, right. And then Sweet Child of Mine came out, and I went, God, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
God,
But
damn it.
I always had the impression, especially in the early days, that Motley Crue was way more of a studio created project than anything they were capable of live, because they just weren't that, technically capable. I think
I don't know. It's
Vince
them on the
Neil
record.
is.
I'm fair.
yeah.
It's them.
No,
I
no,
mean, you know what? I can't
know,
believe.
but my guess is
Go
there
ahead.
was a lot of takes, if you know what I mean.
I'm sure of it. I'm sure, and a
Oh,
shit
yeah.
ton of editing. I mean,
Yeah.
listen to Look What the Cat Dragged In,
Yeah.
and then listen to Ricky Rocket play drums live. I don't know
Yeah.
what sort of magician that producer was, but that, and I believe it's a she. I forget her name. She lives out in the desert. I think that's who produced that. But whatever she did to rein that in, seriously, they didn't pay her enough. It's because
Yeah.
he's terrible.
And
I mean,
that was the
and
days.
there are guys
before.
out there. Look, there are guys who are geniuses, and I will sing their praises. I will also say that guy sucks.
Yeah, it has. I think it has a lot to do with what I like to call musical IQ. Like, the higher the music IQ of the music is, the less chance it has of being popular, because the average musical IQ is not very high.
You're back to Jellyfish, yeah.
Right. They need something they can process. So the best stuff in the world is not going to be a billion seller,
Yeah, no,
sadly.
I think Thriller, the Michael Jackson record, does anyone really listen to that? Like, I'm at home, I want to put on something, I'll throw on Thriller. No. Everyone bought it, but not everyone's listening to it anymore. Where, no one bought Pet Sounds when it came out. But now, there's basically a religion built around Brian and this record.
Yeah, that's true.
Some things get better with age. So we just have to be patient.
Some things do. There's a great Rainmaker song where they go, some things are classic, some things are just old. So, it's both.
Yeah. So what were some of the bands you were into in the 80s? Some of your favorites?
Oh, and like I said, all the weird shit. Let's see. In the early 80s, like I said, I'm a pop guy, so it's, 2020 and Dwight Twilley and all those kind of people. And it's that for a while. And then, I like one of my favorite groups, started around 87 or 88. They're called Trip Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Almost nobody.
Semisonic. I love Semisonic.
Yeah. Well, Semisonic, who I do also very much enjoy. They are like Trip Shakespeare is, they're unbelievably great. They're beautiful and melodic, and they don't sound like the same thing that I've heard before.
Yeah.
I mean, look, they're not reinventing the wheel either, but
pop never is. But pop is about perfect note choices, and it's not about reinventing the wheel.
Yeah, no, and they're beautiful singers, and their bass player plays fretless, and even gets solos. It's they're like
what?
Yeah, it's a crazy thing.
Bass solos, and that's when everybody starts talking, right?
You do know
go to
the
the
joke
bathroom.
about you do know the joke about the the joke about the guy up in the town in the Andes, and all day he hears, like, he gets into his hotel and he hears drums, and he asks a guy on the street, he's like, so what does that sound? And he goes, drums play, drums good. And he's like, that's very strange. So the drums continue playing, and overnight, when he wakes up the next morning and he asks the guy again, he goes, he was playing all night. He goes, drums play, life good. He's like, wow, I die, okay. And another day and another night, drums. Ask the guy, what is there really? And he's like, believe. And then the drums stop, and there's dead silence. And the guy goes, so is that good or bad? And the guy goes, very bad. Why? Now it's bass solo.
Oh. There you go. Right.
Oh.
Now I'm a bass player. My other favorite joke. Do you know what happened with the bass player who locked his keys in the car? It took him 2 hours to get the drummer out.
Do you know the how does that one go? How many bass players does it take to change a light bulb? Have you heard that one?
Oh, what? Maybe.
None. The keyboardist can do it with his left hand.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I'm obsolete. I'll just go home, you know. If
Oh,
someone tells me
you
out on a
know.
gig, I'll just like pack my stuff up, be like, all right,
You
y'all got
know.
this.
There, you know what's amazing to me is that there is 40 cello jokes.
Oh yeah.
Those gentlemen. So, you know, it's everybody. And that's what the beauty of it. Like, I forget, like, what's the difference between a cello and a chainsaw? I forget. It's like, you know, a chainsaw doesn't sound as bad when you smash against a wall. I forget what it is, but I mean, there's like a whole crap ton of them. Kills me. You know, there's timpani player jokes.
Wow.
But they deserve it. So
Yeah, something about that word.
And I've heard one with every musician. So I'm just gonna say, how do you get the musician off your porch? Surely you know this one.
I give him a chart.
Pay him for the pizza.
Oh, very nice.
It's usually a drummer joke, I think. But I've heard it with every musician.
Oh yeah, no. Actually, that mine is how do you get a guitar player to turn down?
Put a chart in
Give him
front.
a chart.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
That one I've totally heard. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a classic.
I'm the world's worst joke rememberer, but I've heard a lot of good ones too.
I'm the worst deliverer.
You know, it's more like
so.
knowing. It's more like knowing the math of jokes, and then because then you're just plugging in data.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
so like there's a three structure joke. Then there's there's two things. It goes from here to here, a little exaggeration. Once you kind of get those things, you kind of go, oh, this is the one about the string thing. And my favorite joke is this thing I call the polar bear joke, where a polar bear goes, I won't do it here, but a polar bear goes to his dad and says, Dad, am I 100% polar bear? And the dad goes, well, I'm 100% polar bear, and your mom's 100% polar bear. And and then the kid goes away from him, asks the mom, and then you start going, and then he's asking the mom's mom and the dad's mom and dad, and every time the answer is the same. Why are you're 100% polar bear? And the way the joke ends is that this one family member goes, okay, 100% polar bear. Yes, you are 100% polar bear. My question is, why are you asking me this? And the little baby polar bear goes, because I'm freezing. And what's so great about this joke is for that little tiny payoff, you can drag this thing out for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, that sounds very Gilbert Gottfried.
I love it. Gilbert's a genius.
Out forever. Yeah,
Gilbert is a national treasure. I've been watching that dude for a while now, and he gets funnier and funnier.
Yeah,
and he's unbelievable. He's a hero of mine.
Yeah, for me, he's always the biggest laugh on every Comedy Central roast for sure. Like
always, yeah.
Only one I remember being on there, honestly.
Yeah,
he was on all of them, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
And at this point, I think Gilbert Gottfried is just a character. I think when he's off the stage, he's just like totally mellow guy.
Right. That's what I was telling Sean. He had never heard the show, and I said, well, so many people are like, oh, I can't stand that guy. You're like, that's just a character. That's
right.
That's Gilbert the character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But he is really funny just being himself too, though.
Yeah, but the Gilbert the character. Picture, if you will, drummer from Slayer. What's his name?
What's that guy's name? I don't know the drummer. I know the.
Okay, so but here's the thing: He's probably about 58 by now. And his life probably significantly different than it was when he was a 30-year-old guy touring around with Slayer, playing every night. At 58, he has to call that up every night still.
Yeah.
It must just be like, all right, people, let's go. We're going to work here. You know
Dave
what?
Lombardo. There we go. We have a drummer in the chat telling us names for you. Dave Lombardo.
Right on.
Thanks,
Cool.
Charlie.
But yeah, I mean, he has to turn that on every time he goes to work now, which is, when you're in a group like that, I said earlier, like, this is kind of what's happened with the prog thing, is it's almost more sport than music. It's about, a certain athleticism
really
in your,
in metal for sure.
Yeah. And those guys are still like, that dude in Meshuggah. Come on. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Kills me.
I think you almost you have an issue with going and seeing a band with a whole bunch of like non-original members, but there's almost, you would think there'd almost be an element of like better energy with people that were new at it, that had their shot, that got to, oh man, I'm playing with Journey now, so they're on fire, where the original Journey guys are kind of like, oh my god, another night of this. Yeah.
Well, Johnny Carson said, people were like, you have the best job in the world. He's like, yeah, I do. However, picture, if you will, that you are the person who throws the best party every night, and the only difference or the only constant every night is you.
Yeah.
So your view,
pressure.
View of how the party is going to be completely different than someone who just showed, it's like, have ever thought about this, that neither of us, I'm assuming, have ever followed a stand-up comic on the road?
Not personally.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay. So a stand-up comic, everything that he or she says in what he's written or she has written, is said almost the same way the next night.
Right.
So if you were to follow all the things that you found surprising the night before, you'd be like, oh, this is coming.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, so a stand-up comic doesn't view the stand-up comic experience at all remotely the same way as an audience member who just sort of looks at the thing.
Exactly. That's the whole nature of show business. That's the show. You're kind of counting on the fact that the show is new to each audience every night, but it's not new to you. It's the same old to you. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, imagine Kiss, where every night the show ends with cannon fire and confetti and like all of this crazy shit going on. And at the center of it, at this point, they're probably like, Chuck was like 12 seconds late with the fucking confetti. We're going to talk about this. We are going to talk about this.
And the blood capsules didn't burst. We got to find a new distributor.
I'm like, come on. Like, they get off stage like, we are having a meeting after everyone showers. Do you understand me?
I thought you were going to go for more of the, in the middle of Detroit Rock City, but you're thinking of like, oh man, the new episode of Breaking Bad is on tonight. You're waiting for that time at home by yourself.
Oh man, Jesse was like totally fucked, man. Wow. Yeah. Totally.
Well, hey, Robbie, let's bring it back to your career a little bit. How did you get involved with Sharknado? What is the whole?
Well, I've been doing music for Anthony Ferrante's movies for before that, and we were working on so he does a lot of these movies with a film company called The Asylum, and The Asylum does these Sharknado movies, but they also do double-headed shark attack versus megalodon. They and then they do also low budget versions of big budget movies. Like they did a movie called American Battleships, which is Battleship. So we were working on a Hansel and Gretel movie, Anthony and I had just been to something called the American Film Market, which is like a mini Cannes film festival where people go and see if they can distribute their films. And I saw in front of the Asylum booth this poster that said Sharknado, enough said, and it showed the tornado with sharks in it. And the 9-year-old genre movie fan in me squealed like a little girl. I was like, are you kidding me? You're making a disaster movie about a tornado and it has sharks in it?
I know, right?
That's genius, man. That's goddamn genius. I was awesome. All thrilled by that. And so the next time I saw Anthony, we were working on the songs for this Hansel and Gretel movie. And he goes, yeah, you know, I'm like, what are you going to do after you're done here? And he goes, well, I've been offered this movie called Sharknado. And I jumped up out of my chair and I grabbed him by the lapels. And Anthony is not a very sort of touchy-feely, emotionally forthcoming guy. So as I reached his lapels, he just very calmly looked down at my fists and then into my eyes. And I went, I don't know why. I don't know why I feel this way, and I don't know how, but I believe that you should do this movie. Now, I don't think that was necessarily his final decision. He's like, well, Robbie says so I should do this. I think there were a lot of other factors, but I was like, you got to do this thing. And yeah, and then he ended up doing it, and there's 6 of them. And
oh man, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, there's 6 of them.
Wow.
And you know, we wrote a theme song for it that actually is, you know, it's got like some ridiculous amount of listens on, you know, Spotify and all of that stuff. And
so you're rich then.
Oh, are you kidding? The Spotify thing alone, why? Tens of dollars.
Tens of dollars. Yes, I'm up to 14. Yeah.
Tens of cents. Yeah.
Thousands of plays. Tens of dollars, maybe.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, I mean that's you know, at this point we might as well just make art because we love it, because
exactly.
It's a cruel and unforgiving world right now for art people.
I don't know if it's going to get better either. I don't know how it would, but
well, it won't for a while.
I'm going to say this real quick because I see Sean over there. Sean, we could hear you a second ago.
Can you see me?
Yeah, you're here.
I'm using my phone.
Oh, did you crap out?
On a last resort, man. Yeah, I just want to kind of. This is the tale of a shitty internet connection.
Oh. Well, you're back.
It's a weekly kind of affair. It's enough to give you a limp erection. You got some down there.
Bravo, Sean. That's an instant classic.
Who did that originally?
Oh no.
You just witnessed it.
Yeah, wow. All right.
It's gonna go viral. We're gonna split that apart from the rest of it, post it to its own.
That's gonna be this week's I Want to Know What's Inside Your Butthole. My words.
Wait a minute. I was you should have told me ahead of time. I would have planned better. Because currently, like I'd have to say nothing. That doesn't mean that I can't rectify that.
Oh.
Good night, everyone.
I'll be here all week.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to move along. It's been 2 hours, you guys.
This always happens. It always happens.
I'm moving along. I got songs to finish. I have all, you know. I'm working on I'm working on a Martin Luther Lennon song. I know you guys are like, who? And I'm like, well, you're welcome.
Okay, checking it out right now.
We got Tricot and we have Martin Luther Lennon. So
There we go.
It's awesome that you're busy, man.
Good
Yeah.
pleasure having you on here.
No, I have too many bad thoughts, so it's best to not sit idle for too long.
Right on.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we could help you kill a couple hours.
Hell yeah, it was lovely.
Yeah. All righty.
Checks in the mail.
Chatting with you.
We'll do this at some point, and we should have you on the spoon. Why not? We'll
Say the word.
We'll trade podcasts.
That'd be awesome. Let's make it happen.
All right.
All right. Take care, brother.
Nice to meet you, sir, and you, sir, and I knew you from before. So
Nice to meet you, Robbie. Good night.
Nice to meet you, Robbie. Have a good night.
Take care. Thank you all. Have a good night. We'll see you next week. My guest is Randy McSteen and Marco Miniman.
Oh,
That's gonna be.
I'll be there.
Yeah, come on by. We're gonna be talking drums in Prague till the cows come home. In 7/8, of course. All righty, y'all.
Good night, you guys.
Hopefully my internet won't take a shit like this week, but if so,
Dun, dun,
I know what to
dun.
do in a pinch. All right, y'all. Have a good week. Stay strong. Stay happy. It's getting better.
Okay.
Promise. How do I kill this?